recapitulation. The 7th century world of Islam were made up of families, dynasties. There were many different dynasties. One of them was this caliphate, Umayyad family. And maybe if you've ever heard Jordan described as the Hashemite kingdom of Jordan, that's one of the families. Egypt was a family, all the families. Then after the Umayyads came here, this was a very strategic place. It was a middle and crossing town, as you heard from Paul. They also built the great mosque in Damascus. They built another great mosque, believe it or not, in Spain, in Andalusia, Granada area of Spain. And this was the third mosque they built right here in Anjar. And then a tragedy happened in Iraq, in Karbala. The fourth son, the man who married Ali, the man who was a cousin of the Prophet Muhammad, and who actually married Muhammad's daughter, one of his daughters, Ali was murdered, and then Hussein, his son, was murdered. They are martyrs to Shia Islam.
Whose head was
in the
mosque.
yeah. Okay, so the Shia. I mean, that's when suddenly you have two denominations in Islam. Now, this town was built as a trading town, and it was not going to be a permanent commercial town. It was really private. The caliph would come here about once a year for 10, 15 days, and it was mainly commerce. The town lasted 39 years because the Iraqis came. The caliph, the Umayyads were Sunnis, and they were taken out by the war of the Shia, who were representing the Abyssinian group that came after them. And the town was never rebuilt. There was a palace on the north side. Because it was not viewed as a full city, but rather a private commercial town, they never built a forum. They never built a theater, amphitheater, as all Roman towns did. They instead just built a common room that held 1,000 people, which was enough. And then we went through the palace, the harem, and the town was built on an east-west axis, meaning it was a planned Roman-style town. The stones came from threshold stones from Lebanon, but there were stones from different periods that were brought here, including pillars for the palace all the way from Italy. They were probably Carrara marble. And there's 6 of those pillars in the chamber for the caliph, where he would meet to discuss secret things with key leaders. So that basically is a history of a town that lasted 39 years and was a victim of internal conflict in Islam, two versions of Islam. The restoration was begun by Germans, 1901, and then they went back to the World War I, of course. The French came, and they did a lot of excavating and did a lot here and other places like Baalbek to the north, which is a big old Roman city. And then at the start of the Civil War in 1974, all of the excavation that was planned here for it came to a halt. And only now, with some grants, are they beginning again. Paul, I think it would be really good on the way to Beirut if you would give us your view of 1974 to 94, what happened and why, to make sense of the Civil War that destroyed, once again, the town of Beirut, and what the legacy is for the future.
You said
Yeah.